So I have been working hard of late. I've just done a lot of editing and a bit of sub-editing and basic formatting for a new book by a Zimbabwean writer who writes in a pretty much straightforward and sociological way, but it's very, very important information. Most people would not have any inkling about this information. It's very important for you to read if you are not narcissistic. And apart from that, it's very hot here and it's a change of season and I'm taking time to adjust. But I guess overall, in this and that and the other way, I may be making some progress. I may be doing so. One of the difficult things that I have had to encounter, it's a long story really, but a really, really long story, and I'm starting to think I will not go into it now that I've just brought it up. I might leave it for another day, because it's a long story, but it's a vague health issue that I'm hoping that I'm getting on top of. Vague but very aggravating and needling, very needling. But I think in general what I found is the recipe for my particular kind of success has been, in effect, to get rid of the systems, software for my mind that was imposed through modernity. It's been very hard and very rough because a lot of the efforts I've made within modernity have been to adjust to it and to learn the ropes, and because you think you must, and you kind of know that it's very important to do so. So I've expended tremendous amounts of energy adjusting to modernity, trying to understand it, trying to get there from the inside out instead of from the outside in. And then after all those decades, literally 2 decades of efforts, I decided, hey, all that happens is I get burned. All that happens is that people view me in one way and then do a retake, they view me in another way, and then they get very angry. They think I've deceived them, which is never the case. It's always me just trying to adjust and adapt and to get along and to do something that actually feels rather alien to me, but to do it out of obligation, to do it out of not exactly desire to please, but force of necessity, because I am in modernity and that's what you do. So what happens though is people suddenly say, well, she's not really like us, she's not really that way that she superficially, more or less, seems to be. So she must have been playing a big old trick. She must have been lying. She must have been deceiving us. And the narcissist reasons in this narcissistic manner that there can be no motive, no driving force apart from the force of deception for self-gain. So that's what they conclude. That's the conclusion that they jump to because of their narcissistic reasoning, because this is a narcissistic culture. And that's the only reasoning that's considered even likely or even possible or even realistic. So, then I had to erase like 2 decades of all that adaptive work because it just didn't work out. It wasn't working. I kept trying and trying and trying. I really did. I tried this avenue, I tried that avenue, I tried this field, I tried that field. The weird thing is that the military was the closest one that felt culturally normal to me, but my health was so worn down by that stage that I just couldn't do it. And my memory was foggy too, so I couldn't do it. Digestive problems leading to foggy memory syndromes. I couldn't do it. I wanted to do it though. It's my biggest regret that I didn't make it there, because I wanted to do it. But there we go, it's life. And so, because I have been caught up in the extremes, because I have been caught up in a terrible, terrible situation for a long, long time, I've now done what I ought to have done much earlier, is just pull the plug on the whole adaptation project. I'm not adapting anymore. You take me or you leave me. I'm not doing anything for you. I'm not doing anything for narcissists. I'm not complying or adapting to a narcissistic society. Not doing it. Because I get burnt, because I have authenticity within me, I get burnt. And they don't get burnt because they have rubbish or emptiness. Sorry, this sounds really harsh. My circumstances have been just that harsh, just that difficult to warrant harsh words and harsh terminology. So I've erased it all. I've gone back to like 1976 system software. How about that? And that's painful. It's like all that work, all that effort, everything that I tried to do, it's nothing. And then, you go back to that early software and you kind of have to build yourself up into adulthood and maturity again. All those wasted years, working on yourself, trying to bring yourself up to that level. And actually during those years, back in the mid to late 70s, was when the temperature was the highest, culturally and historically. And I was the weakest and my father's rage was the scaldingest. So going back to that stage of working with the system software that I had then, it has not been easy. But it has been a learning experience, learning about myself, learning what the basic ground level substance of my being is, and trying to come to terms with that. It's very difficult indeed, very difficult. Basically because just being overwhelmed by the presence of my father in his very hostile, very rageful, very aggressive state. That's what it feels like. It's constantly being in that presence of somebody that has it in for you, doesn't really like you. You're a burden. You remind them of things, emotion that they don't want to be reminded of. You have emotion and they've denied themselves access to emotion in order to maintain control. So every emotion I had was a danger to me during that time. Every thought or feeling I had was a threat to my father's sense of equilibrium. And now I've relived that again. I've gone through that all over again. And this time without any hope, this time without any inkling or ambition to get assistance or redemption from anybody other than myself. Now it's been deeply, deeply traumatic to me to face up to that again, to encounter it anew, and realize in a way I never had conquered it. It's still there, still my nemesis, this knowledge of how much my father pretty much tried to stamp me out and, in a sense, exterminate emotion in me. But there we go. I'm feeling better these days. I hope this is a sign of something turning upward. I've reverted to the age-old software. I started to build up on that platform instead. I've erased all the modern or modernist software. So there it is, an internal revolution. Not for the faint-hearted. Not at all.